Hello. How is everybody today? I already see a bunch of people in on YouTube. Hi, Linda. Hi, Craig. How are you? Hi, Debbie. Um, Hi, Denise. Hi, Tamara. Hi, John. How are you? Good to see you. All right. So if you're tuning in on YouTube, drop a comment. Make sure that, or so I can make sure that you can hear and see me. Facebook's been a little bit glitchy lately with lives. I think they've worked it out, but it's been just a little bit iffy. Like, I think the last time I did Tasty Tuesday, it totally went out, like, wasn't even broadcasting. So, if you're on YouTube, I'm not YouTube, if you're on Facebook watching, let me know if you can see and hear me. Hey, CW Moss, how are you? Hi, sister Anna Hanla. Hi, June. Hi, Sue. Hi, Raven. Hi, Mary. I'm so glad you enjoyed the videos. Hey, Brittany. Wonderful. Thanks. Hi, Pat. How are you? All right. So, let me just tell you, like, so let me tell you what I was thinking I was going to do. This is like, always the best laid plans. Thought I would come on here, give you guys some holiday tip planning. I know this doesn't apply to everybody. The Canadian Thanksgiving is well past and other countries don't celebrate it. But here in the US, we're sort of gearing up for Thanksgiving, which is traditionally celebrated with family, friends. And it can be a small spread, it can be a large spread. So it varies and traditions vary, of course. But I thought I would give you tips and tricks and all that stuff. But I had no time whatsoever to just like kind of go through and get my brain in sequence because I got a call from my vet that my little dog Gus needed a procedure on his ear. And they lanced this thing today. And it just was one of those days. And we got it back into town from vacation about 1 o'clock in the morning, our time. So anyway, it's just been one of those times. However, I have made so many meals for my family, for friends. I've catered, when I owned a restaurant. So I do have some knowledge in my brain. I'm just not sure if it's going to come out exactly the way I wanted. So I'm really anxious to hear your questions and hopefully that right on the fly, I'm going to be able to help if you have any questions about what you're going to be doing. Somebody's saying that the audio is choppy. Hopefully that's not on my end. I did come in to do this live and my internet wasn't working, but I got that fixed. So I think it's good. Hi, Scott. Hi, Terry. Hi, Pat. Yeah, Pat's saying that it's never too early or too late for planning tips. They can apply to many functions. Really, basics apply to everything because it's even, I don't know if you guys encounter this or not, but one of the things that my husband, when he's cooking, that he struggles with the most is he always says, how do you get everything done at the same time? So that you're serving whatever meal you're serving. I mean, and it can be basic. How do you get it all done so it's served hot, the things that need to be hot? And I never really occurred to me that that's a big issue, but sometimes I don't get it right, but most of the time I do. And it comes from planning and really good planning. So we're going to go over some of that. I'm just going to say hi to a few more people. Thank you, Crystal. Crystal, sorry to hear about your dog. I hope it gets better. I'm sorry, Crystal. Crystal's been sick. I've heard a lot of people that have been sick lately. Some things are going around, and I don't necessarily think it's COVID now. I think it's something else. But tis the season, right, for all the colds and everything. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Sheila. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Juliet. Juliet, I'm getting to you. In fact, I'm going to put this up because this is like the main thing. When do we defrost the turkey? How long is it going to take? And then, of course, if you're adding in brining and smoking and things like that, it can be really a challenge to back all that up. So I'm going to leave that up because that's the first thing I'm going to go over. Hi, Sheila. I can't say hi to everybody, but please know that I do see you and I'm trying to get to as many people as possible. All right. D says the see and hear is fine. So Debbie, I'm not sure what was going on. Maybe you could do a refresh and see if that doesn't help. Hi, Jane. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Susan. Some of these might be repeats. Sorry, I'm kind of scrolling up and down. Hi, Sunut5. How are you? Hi, Sandy. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Barbara. All right. I think I said Patrick. I think I said Sheila. Hey, Larry. Hi, Anidra. Hi, Alaska Family Kitchen. Jen, how are you? Hi, Susan. Oh, thank you, Susan. Susan said, so glad I found you. You've taught me so much. And that is, so the reason why I like either put the comments on or read them out loud is because we stream to two different places. So I'm streaming to Facebook and to YouTube. And so they're different conversations. And if you're on YouTube, you won't see what's going on Facebook. And if you're on Facebook, you won't see what's going on YouTube. So I try to connect the dots because I get all the comments in one stream through StreamYard. Hey, Terry. All right, Terry, I'll get to you next. Okay. All right, so let's move on. If I didn't say hi to you, I'm sorry, but hi. All right, let's see. Okay, so Juliet, can you give me a timeline to frosting a whole turkey, brining it, and smoking it? And so this has first, I'm going to just talk about defrosting, then we're going to talk about brining, then we're going to talk about smoking, and then we're going to put them all together. Okay. So basically, the rule of thumb and the safest way to defrost a frozen turkey, and most of the time, if you go to the grocery store to pick up a turkey, even like now, like or the day before Thanksgiving, it's going to be at least partially frozen, if not completely frozen. So you want to plan on 1 full day in the refrigerator for every 5 pounds. So every 4 to 5 pounds, 1 full day, 24-hour period in the refrigerator to thaw it. And it is perfectly fine to keep it up to 2 days additional before cooking it in the refrigerator. So if you want to play it safe, let's say you have a 20-pound turkey, it's going to take at least 4 days to thaw in the refrigerator, which again is the safest way to do it. Then you can do it 6 days ahead of time and you're going to be fine. Okay. Now, when you're going to brine it, you also have to know the time of your brine, which I believe the one that I use is 18 to 24 hours. So let's just go with a 24-hour brine. Okay. So you can kind of keep it simple. If it's 12 hours, you can always back off 12 hours. So you have to allow for that. And that means that you have to have your turkey pretty much thawed completely. Now, it will thaw more in the brine, but that's not ideal. So you want it to be thawed. So if you have a 20-pound turkey, which I'm just going to use as a standard, you want to allow 4 full days in the refrigerator for thawing, 1 full day for brining. And then when you get into smoking a turkey, I'm going to have to look up the time because you know what? That's one thing I've never smoked a whole turkey. Now, of course, I'm talking about a whole turkey, so a big turkey. If you're doing turkey breast, it's a little bit different. If it's boneless, it's a little bit different. So if you have those questions, I will do my best to answer those as well. But I'm going to find out right now how long it takes to smoke a 20-pound turkey. Because I would say, I can't believe I've never smoked a whole turkey. Let's see, it's going to be a popular search on Google, right? Okay, well, yep, that's what I was thinking. So 10 to 12 hours. Now, the thing about smoking a turkey is you could also do that a day ahead of time and then reheat in the oven and crisp up that skin. So that's something to think about, Juliet. And that would take you, for a 20-pound turkey, that would take you back, what, 6 days before you want to serve it, you would start to thaw it. Then on that 5th day, you would smoke it and then refrigerate it. And then on your 6th day, you would reheat it in the oven. Okay. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm assuming it's a whole turkey. You can, again, go by that 4 to 5 hours. I'm sorry, 4 to 5 pounds per 24 hours of thawing time. Brining is pretty much the same no matter what the weight is, in my experience. So I haven't really done like less of a brine for a smaller turkey. I just do the same thing and it's worked out fine. So brining would be the same. Now, smoking, of course, will change based on the weight. So if your turkey's only 12 pounds, then it's probably going to take about 6 to 8 hours, okay, to cook fully through. Okay. Hopefully that answered it. That was off the cuff. All right, let's see. Hi, Sylvie. All right. Hi, Linda. All right. Jane V, what dishes can we make ahead of time? This is a great question. A lot of times, like I would recommend making desserts ahead of time. Now, of course, everything depends on what it is exactly, but certain things are so good ahead of time. Like you can make up a cranberry relish ahead of time. You can even do your stuffing ahead of time. You can do your mashed potatoes ahead of time. But with stuffing and mashed potatoes, because they are dense, they do take a while to reheat. So you do need to plan ahead for that. And you don't want to blast the heat on them. They do better either reheated with like a moist environment, like steaming, or in a low temperature in the oven would be best. And you also want to take those dishes out about an hour before you're going to heat them so that they can kind of come to room temperature. Sort of, at least take the chill off, right? Now, I wanted to get back to this relish question, but um, gravy is another one that you can make ahead of time if you wanted to make like a pan gravy with some, like if you wanted to buy like a small, like turkey breast or something like that. Some people will buy a whole turkey, but they'll also do a turkey breast. You can actually make a pan gravy from the skin of the turkey breast with some thyme and some drippings, like bacon grease makes really good drippings when you don't have the turkey fat. You can render the skin a little bit, but still not a lot for a large amount of gravy. But if you have some bacon fat or sausage drippings, they go really great with making like a pan gravy. So you can do that ahead of time. But a lot of people will do that right before because they use all the juices from the turkey, which is amazing, of course. All right, let's see. I'm going to go back. I want to put this one. I hope I can find it because I know it had some specifics in there about. Oh my gosh, I hope I can find it. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Cranberry and mandarin orange relish recipe without nuts. All right. So I have a cranberry and apple relish on my website, thesaltedpepper.com. And I'm going to look it up right now because I think that all the ingredients in there would be so good with the mandarin oranges as a substitution for the apples. But let me look, okay? Nuts are pretty much always optional in any recipe. I mean, I guess unless it's pecan pie, because that's basically the main ingredient, but nuts you can usually just omit from any recipe. So if you find one that you like and it has nuts in it, just leave them out. All right. So I have a cranberry apple chutney recipe, and it has fresh cranberries, brown sugar, white sugar, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, nutmeg, ginger, ground cloves, and it has orange zest and a Granny Smith apple. I would just omit the Granny Smith apple and put in your mandarin oranges. And I think all of those flavors would go together very well. So hopefully that helps. And it's right on my website, Terry. So go to thesaltedpepper.com and just type in cranberry relish. Okay. All right, let's see. Thanks, John, about Gus. He's fine. He's sleeping right now, so he's okay. All right. Let's see. I'm just looking through these comments. That's why I'm looking down. Um, Hi, Jolene. How are you? Keep going. Keep going. Okay, flood of sense. If you could only have mashed potatoes and gravy or stuffing, which would you choose? Wow. That's hard. I could skip the gravy. That's really a hard one. I would have to say I would choose mashed potatoes over stuffing. I don't know though. I like stuffing. I'm not sure. That's really hard. Oh my gosh. Which would you guys choose? Mashed potatoes or stuffing? Which would be the favorite? Probably mashed potatoes overall, I would say. Um, all right, John says, planning on having 20 ninjas going at once, Louise. Well, we're not doing anything for Thanksgiving. So we just got back from Maryland. I saw my mom and went to a wedding for my nephew. We're not doing anything for Thanksgiving. And I'm like all turkeyed out now because I did, oh gosh, I tested turkey Wellington. So I did about 5 turkey breasts. And I still have one in the freezer. Gave a lot away, but yeah, I'm turkeyed out. I'm done. I'm done. That happens all the time though. Although Jeff says maybe, because he works night shift on Thanksgiving, maybe I'll take the one that's frozen, the turkey Wellington that's frozen, and roast it up because I didn't cook it yet, and then put the puff pastry over it and have it. I might do that, but I might not. I might make lasagna or something. Who knows? Hi, Lucy. How are you? Okay, Mary says stuffing and gravy. Stuffing and gravy. Hi, Robin. Hi, Linda. Hi, Marge. Hi, Roberta. Hi, Judy. Okay, Cynthia. That's an interesting thing. Someone said they cook their turkey totally frozen. Is that possible? Do you recommend this? Okay. So, the issue is safety. So, are you able to get the internal temperature up to a certain point to avoid bacteria growth during the cooking process? I mean, I guess if you're going to cook it to 165 anyway, which would kill any bacteria, I mean, I guess it's possible. I've never done it because I always want to take out the neck and all of those things. Now, if we're talking about a turkey breast, especially boneless, that's a totally different thing. If you're talking about pressure cooking, that's a totally different thing. So I think it would depend on the method. But of course, when I think about a whole turkey, I think about an oven roasting, oven roasted turkey. I don't know that I've never done it. I don't know that I would. Um, but I guess it could work. I guess it could. I mean, it would take a long time, and I don't know. I've never done it. Sorry, I don't have a good answer for that, and I've never known anyone to do that. Um, but yeah, I guess as long as you get it up to 165, it'll be fine. Um, okay. Richard, this is a good question. Can you air fry a tenderloin with bacon wrapped around it? I don't know if you're talking about a pork tenderloin or a beef tenderloin, but it really doesn't matter, or a turkey tenderloin, because we are talking turkey. It doesn't matter which one. So this is my feeling about it. And different people have different opinions. So really, this is strictly an opinion. Yes, you could absolutely do it, but I don't ever like anything bacon wrapped because I don't like undercooked bacon on the underside. So I feel like if you're going to wrap something with bacon and then air fry it, I would definitely go for a low, slow air fry so that you can really render that bacon fat. Because a lot of times, like, when you have a bacon wrap fillet of beef or something like that, and you throw it in the oven, and you want to, broil it or whatever, you end up getting the bacon on the outside is done, but under where it's against the meat is just not rendered and it's not good. And I don't like that texture of bacon. So for me, it's a no. Even with my turkey tenderloin, I could have very well done a basket weave of bacon and slow roasted it. But the texture for me is all wrong. And so I'm a no on that. But it's not because you can't do it. It's just a personal preference for me. Many, many, many people absolutely love it. But I like my bacon really, really crispy. Now, I did do bacon wrapped air fryer sweet potatoes. So I took like wheels of sweet potatoes and wrapped them in bacon and air fried them. And the bacon did get nice and crisp on both sides. So it was a little bit different. But anytime I've tried it with meat, maybe it's the juices that come out. Maybe I should sear the meat first, but every time I tried it with meat, it has not worked out for me. But you can do it, absolutely, and people do it all the time and love it. Um, oh, thanks, Colleen. Yes, we are back, and doing well, and of course, just always busy, right? We're always busy. Okay, so this is a good question. I don't have so dry brining versus wet brining. Dry brining is when you put the brine obviously on the outside and then you can put it into the refrigerator. And I'm not sure if people wrap them or don't wrap them. I have not done dry brining in a sense of a turkey, but now like with uh, a pork butt, if I'm gonna smoke it or something, or there's even one recipe on my website. I'm trying to think what it is that I do this with. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, I know. It's, roast beef. So I do a dry brine, so a dry rub basically on the outside, and I actually let it sit unwrapped in the refrigerator to dry out even more before I then roast it, okay, for the roast beef. So I do like that. I think that it does great. But for turkey and stuff, I am a huge, huge fan of the wet brine. I mean, huge. I think that it penetrates the meat. The salt in the brine also kind of changes the meat fibers a little bit. I think it tenderizes them. I think it just locks in the juices, which is kind of an interesting thing because, you know, when you think about soaking something in salt, would it pull moisture out? But it actually doesn't. And it's osmosis. And it really locks in a lot of flavor and moisture. So I'm a huge fan of wet brine. But there is a time and a place for dry brining, and I just haven't done a lot of it, so I don't have a lot of experience with it. Um, so Sue, if you like a dry brine, chime in and let me know why and what you like about it if you've tried it. I think, you know, this definitely should be everybody chiming in with their tips too, you know, because we all do things a little bit differently, and it doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's wrong, and we can all learn from each other so much. Thank you, Debbie, so much for that. Warming trays help me keep everything warm. Yeah, I can imagine. If you're doing a lot, it's warming trays are hugely beneficial. I like the steam pans, and I get those from Sam's Club so that you can actually have that steam. Steam is such a great conductor to warm things up and not dry them out. So I just love that. Mary wants to know if it's crazy for a single person to own an OL 701. I don't think so, not at all. That's the one that has all the bells and whistles. That's the newest model in the 8-quart. I don't use the 8-quart so much because I'm just so short that the 6.5-quart it's just easier for me to use. But I don't think so. I mean, like you can always, for a single person, you can always do less volume in a bigger appliance. It's not going to make that much difference. But if you did want to do that big batch of something to be able to freeze it for later meals, then you can do that. If you don't mind the not having the programmable pressure release, and what is the other thing that the OL 701 has that the 501 doesn't have? I'm trying to think. I think there's two things. But now I'm drawing a blank on the second one. Isn't that crazy? I do this for a living and I can't remember. And it's got the probe, the thermometer, which I thought I would use a whole lot more than I actually do. But I think if and I think with pressure cooking the probe, you really need to understand how to use it because you can't just use the probe, stick it in, like let's say turkey. Okay, let's say you're going to be making turkey and you want to use your OL 701 and you're going to pressure cook your turkey. Or maybe well, we're going to stick with pressure cooking because if I go off on another cooking method, this won't apply. So if you want to pressure cook your turkey and you set it to 165 because that's what you want your turkey to be, you're going to overcook your turkey because you have to think about the pressure release time and you have to think about the time that it takes for the steam to evaporate so you can open the lid, and all those things are still cooking your turkey. So there is a little bit of a nuance when you're going to pressure cook with the probe. You want to really go under that temperature so that you allow for that carryover cooking, which is much greater in the pressure cooker than it is if you can just pull something right out of the oven and leave it. And I'm talking like 40 to 50 degrees difference, because I have tried it with several different things like pork tenderloin. And I think I got the pork tenderloin down to where I was like, I wanted it at 145, and I set the temperature at like 110, and it was still overcooked by the time the natural release and the pressure release. So there's a little bit to that. But if you don't care about those two functions, then the 6.5 quart too would also be fine for one person. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Brune by Nature. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh, GH is at work. Well, have a good day at work. Okay, Brittany's got a tip for smoking turkey. Highly suggests spatchcocking the turkey, remove the backbone so it lays flat on the smoker. Now, I'm not sure if that's for even smoking throughout, Brittany. Maybe you can chime in. Is it to save time, or is it because that's what fits in your smoker, or is there some reason, because obviously I guess there's different size smokers, right? I'm used to a really big one because I did it for commercial, right? So mine was huge. I could fit like 20-pound turkeys in my smoker if I wanted to, which I don't know why I never did. That's like so funny. Linda's going to fry her turkey. I love a fried turkey. That's another one though that can get away from you really quickly. So, frying a turkey, like you can overcook it so quickly. All right. All right. Let's see. Okay, Colleen, I like drying, a combo word for dry and brine. I know you could probably do that too. I wonder if that would be too much if you did a wet brine followed by a dry brine. That might be too much. You'd have to watch the salt in the dry brine, I guess. But because normally now, if you're going to dry brine, not like with a rub that's meant to stay on, but if you're dry brining with a lot of salt, almost like curing, that's a totally different process. I mean, you got to wash that stuff off, or it's going to be like way too smoky. So Juliet's seen 2 to 6 hours to smoke. I don't know about that. I guess that depends on the size, but I would go for I think it was 20-pound turkey. It was 10 hours. I mean, you're talking, again, I'm assuming things because, I don't have all the information, but I'm assuming that you're going to be smoking at a low temperature, like 200, 250. And it's going to take every bit, I think, of 10 hours to get that turkey up to the 165. Because even though you're smoking, you still need to get it up to that temperature. Okay, let's see. Juliet, please let me know how that goes. I bet it's so good. Okay, Jill is looking for the best dry brine. I don't know. Maybe somebody else does, because I have not done that before. I guess I'm gonna have to do that for next year, huh? Okay, Wanda, yes, I have cooked a turkey breast in the Ninja successfully. It was very, very good. I did a bone-in turkey breast, and I think I did a sous vide boneless turkey breast. So if you go on my website and just type in turkey breast, they should pop up. But yes, it was amazing. I believe the turkey breast with the bone-in, I don't remember if I steamed in, and I didn't use the steam and crisp because it wasn't out at that time, but I don't remember if I steamed it and then air crisped it, or if I pressure cooked and then air crisped it, which is tender crisp essentially. So I'm not positive. I don't remember what I did because it was at least a year ago. Might have been 2. But yes, you can absolutely do it. It turned out amazing. Thank you, Trisha. I appreciate that. Jeff loves this sweater too. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, I know, Dorothy. Isn't it? Isn't it? It's like time has gone so fast. A lot of you guys asked me if I would do like a live cook, so, like, make a Thanksgiving meal, live, and, like, I mean, and it would be of course, I wouldn't expect you guys to, like, sit in while I made this whole meal, like, from start to finish, but that it was something that would be a whole thing just to kinda, like, maybe, I guess, get my process or whatever, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do that. I was really interested in it. I might be able to do something for Christmas, but it has just been wall to wall busy, busy, busy. Um, Sweet potato casseroles are very easy to make ahead of time. I think they even reheat better than a regular white mashed potato, in my opinion. So they're really easy to make ahead of time. And like mine, you can make 3 days ahead of time. But anyone, you can make them ahead of time. The same thing though, when you have something that's dense like that. I think people underestimate the amount of time it's going to take to reheat it. And I think that's where people run into trouble, including me. You think, how long could a pan of mashed potatoes take to reheat? Well, there's variables too. Like, are they straight out of the refrigerator? Are they in a deep dish? Are they in a flat dish? If you're going to do a lot of reheating, make ahead and reheat on the day that you're serving, you want to put them in shallow pans if you can. That is going to speed the reheating process up tremendously. The other thing I recommend when you're thinking about planning your menu and planning what you can make ahead of time is also plan what appliances they use, because I think that's an important thing. Like what you have in your kitchen will vary from what I have in my kitchen. But if you have a crock pot or you have a Ninja Foodie, if you have a toaster oven, if you have a full oven, you can utilize those things to help reheat slower. If you don't have enough circuits in your kitchen, you can also get strategic about that and stick your crock pot in the living room, if you needed that to reheat something. Another thing with something like a sweet potato casserole that you can do ahead of time is you can make it all up and just not mash it all up. So you can put all the ingredients together, and then the day of you could even pressure cook it to get it warm fairly quickly, and then mash it all up, put your topping on, and throw it in the oven to toast, or throw it in your air fryer to toast, depending on how much you're making, of course. Hi, Becky. How are you? Good evening, Annie. Thank you, Colleen. She's liking the sweater too. Thank you so much. Um, Nancy, we pressure cooked our turkeys last few years. It doesn't turn brown, but deboning it was easy. Yeah, I've pressure cooked a turkey too, and you can pressure cook and then air crisp to get that crisping on the outside. But another thing that you could do is, and I've seen people do this, is that they will pressure cook their turkey, then take the skin off because it's not brown, and then they will air fry the skin and make crispy skin to serve along with their turkey. So another thing, sous vide is another option for turkey breast, especially. It's amazing, and you don't even need to worry about having the fat on there. You can take the skin off the turkey, and then you can air fry that turkey skin to kind of serve a crispy. Season it up first too. Definitely want to do that, and then you can serve it beside your sous vide or pressure cooked turkey. Um, Faith, I do not have a recipe for lemon meringue pie. I don't even know if I've ever had lemon meringue pie. Isn't that funny? I'll have to put that on my list because I like everything lemon. Um, okay, Tamara, this is a really good question. And again, I'm giving opinions. I am sure people will use crock pots and stuff to reheat just about everything and anything. And can you? Yes. Is it the best reheating method? Maybe, maybe not. So if I was going to reheat potatoes. Let's just stick with potatoes and let's assume they're white potatoes and they're mashed potatoes. If I was going to reheat those in a crock pot, I would want to add liquid to them. So maybe if I mashed them up a day or two before, I didn't add in the butter or I didn't add in as much cream as I would want. So they were a little bit denser and thicker so that when I go to reheat them in the crock pot, I can add those things in and then let them warm up. Some evaporation happens in a crock pot more than in a pressure cooker, but not as much, of course, as on the stove or in an open oven. So take that in mind when you're adding in your liquids. But I like to use liquid in my crock pot I don't have a crock pot, but the Ninja Foodi slow cooker, to create that steam, to really get things to reheat evenly. So yes, you can, but I would definitely plan on adding in some liquid so that it reheats evenly without drying out too much. Otherwise, I think you just end up with a dry mashed potato. Stuffing, same way. I would make sure that it's on the drier side and then add in a little bit of chicken stock or turkey stock if you have it. And then be able to mix it all up right before serving. My preference for stuffing though is to have crispy edges or crispy top. So I like to reheat it in the oven. But even in the oven, I'll add a little bit of liquid to it just so that we've got that steam so it doesn't dry out too much. I think that's one thing with reheating. We can really dry out our food if we're reheating in a dry cooking environment, which would be the oven, or the crock pot if you're not using any liquid would be dry. So I add in that liquid to the crock pot. And in the oven, you can do that too. All right. Hopefully that made sense. Sometimes I just talk and I don't know if it makes sense or not, but I hope so. All right, Kristen, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I hope you are loving the Ninja Foodi. It's like my absolute all-time favorite appliance. Hi, Annie. How are you? Um, and Christina, I do a fake turkey for Thanksgiving chicken. Hey, you know what? That works perfectly fine. My husband is not a big fan of turkey, so he would much rather me make a chicken or even a lasagna or something like that. Although the turkey Wellington, he loved it. He absolutely loved it. Jill says she's had too many wet brining accidents to go there again. Such a mess. Wet brining, I haven't had any problems with that, but you do have to you have to have room in your refrigerator or you have to do it in a cooler and then make sure it's going to stay that temperature. And that can be hard, I mean, so yeah, there are some things with wet brining. You definitely have to make sure that you have enough room. When I did it for the Ninja Foodi, I used the inner pot to brine in. So I like that. And I thought that worked really well. But of course, I had a turkey that fit in the Ninja Foodi. That's not always the case. Hi, Pam. Hi, Danae. How are you? I don't know if I said your name correctly. If not, please correct me. All right. Colleen saying, I've done things like scalloped potatoes, sweet potato casserole, and green bean casserole, putting the fried onions on when reheating all ahead of time. Yep. Absolutely. And scalloped potatoes, they have that liquid, so they make it really nice to reheat. Sweet potato casserole. Yep, we already talked about that. Green bean casserole. Yeah, I think green bean casserole too is going to I would personally have a little bit of liquid in there to reheat. And then once it's hot, put those fried onions on top and finish it up. All right. Good evening. Good evening, Diane. And we've got some stuffing for that question earlier. Mashed potatoes or stuffing. We've got stuffing, mashed potatoes, stuffing. You can do more with mashed potatoes, stuffing. I don't know. I guess you can, Colleen. Colleen says you can do more with mashed potatoes, but I'm thinking about the stuffing frittata that I made. That was absolutely delicious. But with mashed potatoes, you could do like my mom used to fry them up. Like I just made a recipe for apple fritters in the air fryer. But she used to do like potato cakes too in a pan, or she would put corn, like leftover stuff from Thanksgiving, and make up little potato cakes. So that's good. And Sandra's voting for stuffing, and Becky's mashed potatoes. And yeah, so wonderful. All of it so good, right? And Brittany's gravy, everything, but then stuffing. So I guess she would go with stuffing over mashed potatoes. And Annie is stuffing, sausage and onion and celery. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Okay. So, Robin, I have a 15-pound turkey that I took out of the fridge or the freezer last week. I'm going to assume you took it out of the freezer last week. Does that mean it will be bad by Thanksgiving? They recommend that you cook it within 2 days of it fully thawing. I would put it honestly, oh my gosh. It would depend on what day last week. What day are we? Tuesday? Um so it's probably thawed, but it was in the refrigerator, so there's no problem with throwing it back in the freezer for 2 days and then yeah, I would not leave it in the refrigerator all the way to Thanksgiving. Um, I think that would be too long. That's definitely my opinion. If anyone else has any experience with that, I'm the procrastinator type, so I'm the person that forgets to take it out or forgets to buy it in the first place. So I'm the one like at the last minute trying to think how I'm going to get this turkey thawed. So we're going to go over that next. Like if you do that, there is a way to work it, but it can be labor intensive, but it will work for you and it is perfectly safe. But yeah, Robin, I would be really careful about that. I think that's going to be too long in the refrigerator. Okay, let's see. So let's real quick talk about so what happens if it's 2 days before Thanksgiving and you forgot to take your turkey out of the refrigerator or the freezer to thaw, or you did but you didn't allow enough time and you're going to cook it and it's still totally frozen. You can safely thaw in cold water, but there's a few things. Number one, it's better if it's in its wrapping. Okay, so everything's contained. You haven't opened that up. If you have opened that up, then I would try to get 2 large bags that you can wrap it in so that you can protect it from the water. You don't want it just soaking in the water because it's going to waterlog it. So protect it and then put it in cold water. But you have to change the water every 30 minutes because it has to stay a certain temperature. The way that heat and cold work is that it's going to take the how do I get this backwards all the time. I know somebody's laughing at me like, oh, this is so easy. But anyway, the turkey is going to how do I put this? Oh my gosh. I feel like a dummy right now. Let me just talk about it in simple terms. You can't let your water warm up. And even though the turkey's frozen and at first it's going to be very cold, that water will warm up some. So every 30 minutes, put the fresh water in to dump out anything that's going to be a little bit warmer. So that's safety reasons. But you can do it. And it would take, I think it takes about 30 minutes per pound or two. So 30 minutes for every 1 to 2 pounds of frozen turkey in that method. So it is quicker, but it's labor intensive, because you've got to have a container big enough, number one, to hold your turkey or put it in the sink, have cold water, drain it, new cold water, drain it, new cold water, that kind of thing. Okay. All right. Dressing with oysters. I've never made an oyster dressing, and that is so funny that I lived in Maryland and I never made it. I don't know. I don't like cooked oysters for some reason. So I like them raw, but not cooked. Hi, Jamie. How are you? Welcome. Marie's making pressure cooked mashed potatoes right now. Yeah, it's really nice with a pressure cooker. How, quick and kind of hands off you can make your potatoes and things and other things, of course. And Colleen says she's not doing Thanksgiving this year since the meal's so close. Yeah, and for a lot of people, if you're not entertaining, you don't have a really large family, it's a lot of work, right? Which this leads me now to another tip that I think probably most people would know already, but don't try to make something new when you're having a large holiday dinner unless it doesn't make or break the dinner. So I don't recommend doing something crazy with your turkey unless you want to have fun and experiment and you're okay with it not working out and maybe you have a ham. something else. So I think a lot of times, we think, oh, let's get really creative and let's do something new for holiday, and like a little new dessert is okay. And little things like that. But your main staples, do what you know and what you love. If you want to test something out, do it the week before the holiday. And that's just going to get you more familiar with the recipe, more familiar with the process, and then also give you a real accurate time. Because recipes like that I write, other people write, family and friends give to you, nobody can tell you exactly how long it's going to take you to make. We can tell you how long it's going to cook for, but we can't tell you how long it's going to take you to prep the ingredients, because everyone works at different speeds. So really don't set yourself up for failure, because it's stressful enough when you're juggling multiple things that you're trying to get on the table by making something new that you're not familiar with the process. All right. Crystal, you are no bother at all. Crystal is looking for a sugar-free brownie recipe. Do I know of any? I personally do not have any experience with making a sugar-free brownie. However, like the sugar substitutes, like Swerve, I think is one of them. They are a 1-to-1 baking ratio. And I don't think that you would run into any problems with using that in your brownies. So you could use any type of brownie recipe and substitute that 1-to-1, as long as whatever sugar substitute that you're going to use is a 1-to-1. Okay. Then it'll just be an even swap out. And I don't think you're going to have any problems. When you get into sugar substitutes in canning and sugar substitutes in or jelly making and in other things, like candy, especially, there are some issues with it, but really, I don't think you'd have any problems with brownies. If anyone else has any great sugar-free brownie recipes, please share. And if you do not want to use any sugar substitute, you can make brownies, but I don't know how good they're going to taste, if you're not using any substitute or any kind of sweetener, whether that be some honey or things like that. So, but I personally have just not made them sugar-free. My husband would really love for me to make them with a sugar substitute, because he does low carb. So he would really like that. And I probably need to get on that. Thank you for your question, Crystal. Annie says that she spatchcocks her turkey and it cooks so much faster. Yeah, definitely it cooks faster. I've never done it though. I don't know why. I just never have. Christy wants to know, can you cook a ham in the foodie? Yes, you can cook a ham in the foodie. The question is, do you want to? And if you go on my website, thesaltedpepper.com, you can type in ham in the Ninja Foodie, and I will tell you all about my experiences, because I think I made, 20 hams. So ham is, in the US and in most places, ham is already fully cooked. So it just needs to be rewarmed. So in the foodie, a good option is going to be steam or slow cook or even a low roast. Okay. Pressure cooking it, I found that 9 times out of 10, it really dried it out. Now, I did have some success, and I think it was with I know it wasn't a spiral ham. The spiral ham dried out too much. But there's one that I did, and it worked out well, and I don't remember. I think it might have been, I think the bone-in one fell apart, which it was good, but I think it fell apart. I think it was the boneless one. Because it's kind of dense and it didn't dry out, and I think it was good. But I don't quote me on that. But I have a whole thing about all the different ways that you can do ham in the Ninja Foodie. Of course, you have to make sure it's going to fit too. That's a big deal. And Marie's going to spatchcock a turkey in the smoker this year, and everything else will be in the Ninja Foodie. That's awesome. Good plan. Yeah, so Colleen's chiming in about the frozen turkey. It would have to be at a low temp to cook it all the way through without drying it out or overcooking the outside. Right. That's a great point. I was thinking low, but yeah, because it's very true. When it's frozen all the way to the core, if you blast it with hot heat, long enough to get that core thawed and cooked, you are going to dry out the outside. So it would have to be a very low and slow kind of thing. And that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, Alicia, this is a really good question. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. Well, I guess I could answer it. But I don't have any experience with the Ninja Foodie Possible Cooker. I don't have it, so I don't know the functions on it, okay? So I'm kinda just taking a shot in the dark here. Can you make green bean casserole or sweet potato casserole in the Ninja Foodie Possible Cooker? Um, yes, I mean, if you can make it in the oven, and this has a bake function, I mean, you could definitely make it. The thing with making the sweet potato casserole is getting the sweet potatoes cooked correctly, and most of the time you're going to pre-cook those. And I don't know if the possible cooker has like a boil function. I kind of think it does. So you could cut your sweet potatoes up, boil them, get them tender, and then put together your casserole and you could bake it. Yes. Now, could you bake it from cold? Like, let's say you did all that ahead of time and then put it into the possible cooker with the bake function. If the bake function is coming from the lid, see, I don't know how it works. So I'm guessing here. I don't think it works from the lid though, does it? You would want the heat to be coming up from underneath and being all around. Otherwise, you're going to have a little bit of trouble if it's just coming from the top to get underneath. If you're putting it right in like the casserole dish that I'm envisioning is the possible cooker, because I've only seen it a few times and I don't have any experience. Green bean casserole, if you are using canned green beans and if you're doing a traditional type of green bean casserole that uses the soup and all that kind of stuff, you can probably bake it in there. I think that would be fine. But again, I'm guessing here because I don't know how it works. So I'm not well versed with that at all. I'm not versed at all in it, actually. Okay, so Cynthia says, they told me for the frozen whole turkey, they do the cooking in the oven, and after the first hour or so, take out the inner giblets. They cook it like 14 to 18 hours. Okay, so yeah, so if they're cooking it for 14 to 18 hours, of course, again, size will matter in this, but I would guess that maybe they're starting out at a high temperature, then going down to a low temperature, or maybe they're just doing a low temperature the whole time. I mean, it's not that you can't do it as long as you get it up to the 165, it'll be okay. But unless you're in a pinch, I don't really know if I see the advantage unless you just don't have room in your refrigerator to thaw it. I mean, obviously, that could be the case too. But you do want to take out those inner giblets and stuff, although it's not gonna, I shouldn't say that word. I was gonna say a K word, but it's not gonna hurt anybody if they stay in. I mean, as long as everything gets up to 165, but I think that would nobody wants to see that in their turkey, I don't think. Okay. Marie, yes. Bacon wrapped anything. I do lower temperature and longer for the crisp. I fully agree. Jill, I think I saw them and I think I read them, but if I missed them, I apologize. Annie, I did not. It's not crab season, so I did not get any crabs this time. I have to do it again. Okay, Cynthia, do you have a better, healthier version for a sweet potato side? I hate tons of sugar, etc. Yeah, I would say the bacon wrapped sweet potato wheels are really nice, and you don't have to. I did because it was trying to kind of recreate that traditional marshmallow topped sweet potato in individual servings, but you don't have to put the marshmallows on. You don't have to put brown sugar on them at all. I mean, you could just do them. And they were really nice because the bacon and the sweet potato goes really nice together. Now, I did just try to do, one of my goals was to get out an air fryer sweet potato recipe that was not a sweet version, that was more of a savory version. And I tried once and I despised them so much. I didn't like the texture. I didn't like anything about them. I was like, I got to scrap this. I've got too many other recipes that are like ready to go. I can't spend time on that right now. So I'm going to have to try that again to get them better. But yeah, I don't know what I did, but they were horrible. Absolutely horrible. Like rubbery. I mean, they were just bad. They had no flavor. I was really, really very sad with myself, but it happens. That's why I test recipes. Sylvia, prime rib, is that what you're having? Um, Prime rib is like delicious. It's like one of my favorite things. Um, all right, let's go through some of these because I am 30 or 40 minutes behind, like normal, right? Um, okay, so Brittany, game changer that I started doing was dry brining 24 hours in advance, then rinsing the brine. Don't skip that step. That is right. If you are dry brining, not just dry rub, you definitely don't want to skip that. And leave the rack on the fridge and the skin gets insanely crispy. Oh, that's amazing. I'm going to have to try that. I'll put that on the list for maybe Christmas, to do a dry brine because I have never done one. So I'll test that out. And Brittany, wet brine. Okay. Okay. So we got that backwards. Okay. But I like that idea. So you wet brine, rinse it, and then leave it on a rack in the refrigerator uncovered. Yeah, I can see how that would be really good. But I'm going to try dry brine. All right. And Gwen uses a dry brine. Let's see. Okay, so Christine has done the frozen turkey. It came out delicious, but not in the conventional oven. It was in my new way oven, different kind of countertop appliance. Okay. But if it came out delicious, that's great to know. That's great to know. All right. Trisha, thank you. She was prompting me on the probe that I forgot. That's 30, and Annie too. That was 30 minutes ago. I'm just not very good with getting through these comments. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Annie, yeah, the 601 doesn't have that feature. Yeah, I know. Sad. Sandra, wish you lived in my area and did in-person cooking classes. I sure would be there at them. That's awesome. I would love to do in-person stuff. I think that would be so much fun. I am thinking about doing some online but interactive things. I just took a cooking class. I wanted to see how it was, and I learned so much from this guy in Italy. He taught me how to make some pastas and stuff, and I learned so much, and it was such a fun experience that I think that we could do that and have just as much fun with things in the Ninja Foodie. I think it would be a blast. So that's on my list for 2023. All right. Let's see. Okay, so the dry brine on the turkey breast, and they love, and family members who don't eat turkey love it. And you got it from the website, The Art of Manliness. So anybody looking for a dry brine, go on that website, The Art of Manliness, and check it out. All right, let's roll through here. Hey, Karen. Okay. Karen says, I have a 10.5 pound turkey that I'm going to cook in the Ninja Foodie using your recipe. After that, I want to put it in the oven and crisp it up. What temperature do you recommend and how long? So when you're doing something like that, where your goal is just to get that skin crispy, I would definitely go at the highest heat that you have and preheat that oven. Get that oven nice and super hot because the goal is to crisp the skin without drying out the turkey. And that's kind of a balancing act. Especially with the breast, because the breast can dry out so easily. So possibly I might consider, if I was doing this, I might consider undercooking the turkey by about 15 degrees. Now that can cause some issues too. So I'm just saying what I would do or try is I would probably undercook it in the Ninja Foodie, a few degrees, and then so I can allow for that extra heating. Because if you remember, when I did that recipe, I had every intention of air crisping it, and it was like so done. It was, oh my gosh, it was an amazing turkey, the moistest turkey I think I've ever had. Um, but it wasn't holding together very well, because it was really cooked. They cook so fast. So if you want, Karen, if you want to email me, Louise at thesaltedpepper.com, we can kind of go back and forth about timings. I'd have to look at the recipe and remember the process there, in order to answer you accurately, and not just off the cuff tonight. So let me know and we can talk about maybe how much pressure cooking time you would do. But definitely preheat that oven on your hottest temperature and blast that heat so that you can crisp that turkey skin up quickly without drying out the rest of it. All right. All right, Brittany's replying, and I want to put these up here for people that are on YouTube. Okay, so Brittany spatchcocks for time, because it only took 1.5 hours last time she did a 19-pound bird. Wow. And it also helps with even cooking. And I spray my turkey periodically with Pam as well while cooking. The skin gets so crispy. No need to use the oven if you smoke your turkey. Okay, very cool. That's very good. All right, Rachel. I'm single and I have a 6.5 quart with a steam and crisp. I never use my stovetop anymore and seldom use the oven. I love it. I think an 8 quart would be fine too. Yes. Okay. I know you're talking to the person that asked about if it was silly to buy the 8 quart for one person. All right, Jolene. The kids are coming over the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and I will be making a roast for Thanksgiving. I bet they will absolutely love that. Okay, so Sue is getting back. Let's see. Well, for one, it was really easy. I did a small turkey and it's just me and the hub. So for an 8-pound turkey breast bone in, the dry brine was, don't quote me, I don't have the recipe, but pretend it was butter turkey. Salt was something like 1 teaspoon per pound. Okay. And herbs, and then cover with a plastic bag for 12 to 24 hours. Juicy, juicy. Okay, I'm definitely gonna do this. Okay. So you rinsed it and then you seasoned again as normally you would. That's really good to know. I'm going to try it. Okay. And Brittany also wanted to add in there, if you're smoking, she has a pellet smoker, so she gets to crank the heat up for the last little bit to crisp that skin. Okay. John, would steam and crisp in the new Ninja models be okay for turkey breast or half of a turkey? I think it's going to be an incredible way to make a turkey breast with the skin on. Really. I mean, now if you're doing a boneless, skinless turkey breast, totally different. If you don't have the skin on there, you don't really want to air crisp too much. But I think steam and crisp would be a great option for a half of a turkey or a turkey breast. I really do. If it has the skin on only. That's the only way I would do it. Otherwise, I would probably, if it was skinless, I would probably do more steam and less air crisp so that you keep everything moist, but you still maybe get a little color on the turkey meat itself if that's what you like. Okay, let's see. Oh, Mare, thank you. Mare's, I'm thanking her for hating me. Oh, I love you too. Congratulations on your recent success. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind of 4 years. And the gadgets behind me are all used in testing recipes. People ask me a lot, why do you have so many? Well, it's because I want to test them in different things. So when I do an air fryer recipe, I don't just use one air fryer to test it. I'll test it in sometimes the dual basket, sometimes the grill, sometimes the foodie, sometimes the speedy. But I'll at least test it in 2 or 3 different appliances so that I can tell you how it works. If you need to make adjustments in those appliances, because different people have different air fryers and different air fryers work differently. The oven's another one. Although I don't use my oven much for air frying because I haven't been happy with the results. So I don't. But anyway, hi, Paul. How are you? And if you guys are interested in the wood fire grill, Paul has a YouTube channel, Cooking Montana, right? I think that's it. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Paul. You can add it in. And he does a lot of grilling recipes, and he's been using the smoker and stuff. Okay, let's roll on down here. Okay, Adam says, just a random question. Do you make rice pudding over there in the USA? I was wondering if it'd be doable in the Ninja Foodie and slow cooker mode. Okay, I do make rice pudding. I love rice pudding. I did a jasmine rice pudding in the Ninja Foodie using, I think, pressure cook. I think that's what that is for. Now, you don't have to add in the jasmine flavors or anything like that, Adam. You could use your own recipe and just go by the timing on mine, that I tested out, if you wanted to use that function. Now, you can cook rice in a slow cooker, so you could do a rice pudding in a slow cooker. I just personally haven't done it because I feel like it's so quick in the pressure cooker. So you can check that out on my website too, the saltedpepper.com. Okay, Robin, I think I already helped with this. So hopefully you caught my comments, because I do think that you need to get it in the freezer to refreeze and then rethaw. And as long as it was in the refrigerator, it will be okay. But it depends on what day you took it out. But last week, as long as it hasn't been 7 days, if you're in doubt, though, you may want to open that package. If your turkey is bad, you will know it right away. It stinks. Ask me how I know. Okay, Wendy has a question. I have to bring the mashed potatoes, the dressing, and the boneless turkey breast. Should I just bring in crock pots? I kind of went over this with doing the mashed potatoes and stuff in a crock pot. I would ask whoever is hosting, if you're bringing these things, whoever's hosting, what if they're going to have room in their oven, okay? Because the best way, in my opinion, is to take them already warm in serving pans, whether they're the disposable aluminum ones or whatever you have, and take them already warm. And then you just need to keep them warm. That's going to be the best thing when you're going to somebody else's house with things. Never assume that they're going to have room for you to reheat. Now, you can take them in crock pots, but again, depending on how long you're going to be there, you're not going to want to take them cold. I mean, the mashed potatoes could take an hour or two in a crock pot. In my experience, kind of like baked beans too can take forever, to get completely warm through. So I would just be careful about the temperature of them. If they're coming right out of the refrigerator, I would try to warm them up somehow, at least a little bit at your house. And then, of course, for food safety, they can't sit out for more than 2 hours. So you've got to kind of take that in consideration. As far as the boneless turkey breast goes, I don't think I would leave a turkey breast in a crock pot. I think it's going to just dry out, overcook, unless you had it already sliced with the gravy, which some people are going to love that. Some people are not going to love that. I would probably, again, make sure that the boneless turkey breast was hot. If it has skin on it and you wrap it in foil, your skin's not going to be crispy. So you could, and again, ask the host if you're going to have time to be able to pop it into the oven real quick. But I don't think the crispy skin is the end all if you're taking the turkey breast over there. I don't even think cold turkey is the end all, honestly, especially if you're serving hot gravy with it. So I don't think I would use a crock pot for that, though. The other two you could, but don't rely, unless you're going to be there all day, don't rely on a short period of time in the crock pot to warm everything up through and through. Because remember, when you're warming food back up, you also need to bring it up to a certain temperature, depending on what it is. But usually you want to get it up to that 165 mark again, especially if it's meat. With mashed potatoes, I think, I can look that up though. Since I started down that train of thought, let me see. I should know this because I didn't know all this when I owned my restaurant. But when you don't do things over and over, you forget. You can hot hold, I believe it's 140. I think you still have to heat things up to 165. Yep, 165, and then you can hot hold at 140. Now, there is a feature on the Ninja Foodie that's the new ones, and some of the old ones I think also have this feature, and I have not used it a lot, but it's called Buffet, and I'm kind of thinking it's like Keep Warm, but maybe Keep Warm is even a little hotter. I'm going to do some testing on that because I think it's an interesting, but Buffet tells me that once your food is heated up to 165, it has to be hot. Then you can keep it on the buffet and it will keep it at a safe hot holding temperature. But again, that will still dry out things if there's not enough moisture in them. Oh, Mary, I'm so glad you made the toffee. I'm so glad you liked it. Thank you for sharing that. So I love candy recipes and I used to do a whole bunch of candy. So like I've done candies and baking my whole life. Um, and I am learning some of the issues that people are having with candy recipes. So I'm trying to make mine when I say foolproof, I'm not calling anybody a fool, but you know what I mean, that I want to make them so easy. And the toffee, a lot of people had trouble with it separating. And I had to do a lot of research because I've never had that happen um, to me. So yeah. So thanks for that feedback. And anybody that makes a recipe of mine and it doesn't work out, I want that feedback. I mean, I love to hear that it works out. I love to hear that you love them. But if it didn't work out, I want to know that too, because I want to try to problem solve it to figure out why. Because if it didn't work for you, chances are it didn't work for somebody else too. And it could work for 25 people and not work for five. And that's a problem for me. I want to figure out why the five had a problem so that we can get all 30 people happy. All right, let's see. Mary says, oh, that's interesting. So I just made a pot of mashed potatoes for tomorrow. Place them in a crock pot on warm overnight with a ramekin of water on the top for humid heat. That's an interesting thing. So you put them in the bottom of the crock pot, but then what do you have, like a tray, and then you sit the warm water on top of that? That's really interesting. I've never done that. Um, Tarot Apprentice, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. I know I'm going over a little bit. I usually do this for an hour, but I haven't even gotten through all the comments. Oh my gosh. I hope we're not having any kind of bad things happening with trolls today on YouTube. Um, okay, Sharon wants a custard pudding recipe for the Ninja all-in-one lid pot. Um, Oh, so the 501, 601, 701 custard pudding recipe. Well, like, okay, Sharon, I would need to have more information on that because in my banana pudding, I make a custard for that in the Ninja Foodie, but I use sear saute. So, like, pressure cooking a custard is going to be tricky. You might be able to do it pot and pot, but I think it's still going to be tricky. So, um, yeah, I'd have to see about that. I do have also those little pumpkin custard cups, which you could switch up to be like a creme brulee. Now, I think you could do like a creme brulee, which is like a custard pudding, vanilla in those little ramekins. And I think you could do that. Or you could sous vide, which is the one recipe I do want to get out is the sous vide creme brulee. Because I think that would be really delicious. But you might be able to do something similar if you're doing pot and pot with those ramekins. But again, it's going to take, it's all temperature control because custards are all temperature control. So I'll play around with it because that's a recipe that I would like to do too. But the easiest way to make a custard pudding is using sear saute, just like a pot on the stove. Really, that's the easiest way. Okay, so Brittany's giving some suggestions that are good for Robin that I didn't think of. Go in, check in the fridge. If you press on it, you still feel some ice crystal resistance. You're good. That means it didn't thaw. Yeah, because I guess it depends on how cold your refrigerator is, but I think it's going to be thawed. Yeah, we question whether or not I use it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. That's a tough one. Gosh, you don't want to ruin a whole turkey. Or have to throw it out, but you also don't want anyone to get sick. You will know it though. It will smell. It will be be terrible smelling, really strong smelling. So I think you're going to know right off the bat when you open it up. But I definitely would not leave it in the refrigerator all the way to Thanksgiving, and I'm assuming that you're doing your Thanksgiving on Thursday. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're doing it over the weekend. But even then, I don't think I'd leave it that long. Okay. Um, Debbie, that's another great thing for warming potatoes, adding cream cheese or sour cream while in the crock pot, because you're adding in that moisture in that cream, or that fat, and that's going to help. Yep. That helps a lot. Hey, Kathy. A frozen 20-pound turkey. We're having it for Christmas. Good. So keep it in the freezer. Keep it in the freezer. And then half a shank ham for Christmas. So you're interested in the turkey conversation. I'm interested in the turkey conversation because I'm learning things and tips from other people. And I think that's what it's all about. It's all about sharing those experiences. And I don't have them all, for sure. And so I learned so much from all of you guys too. And I appreciate that. All right, let's keep going down here. I'm just going to scroll through. All right. Hey, Brittany, let's dive right into this. Also, I'm hesitant to mention it because it's a hot debate topic, but I can send you a link to you that proves it's food safe, but you can refreeze any previously frozen meat so long as it was 100% thawed before you refreeze. It doesn't have to be 100% thawed. It just has to be thawed correctly. But I'll look at yours too. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't have to be 100% thawed in order to refreeze, from my experience from the USDA and things like that. But it has to be thawed in a controlled environment. You have to make sure that it never went into the danger zone where bacteria can multiply. So that's the big issue. And it is a hot debate. You can even thaw fish and seafood if it's done appropriately, which the safest way is in the refrigerator. It can still be done if you do it quickly under running cold water, bread it up, and then refreeze your seafood. You absolutely can. Now, in the UK, they have different guidelines, but in the US, the USDA will tell you, yes, you can absolutely refreeze thawed meat. So it's not a problem if it's not, if it's not bad already, for Robin to put her turkey back in the freezer. It's perfectly fine. But Brittany, I'm interested in that, and I'm going to copy this actually so that I can go read it. So I appreciate that, because I've never heard that it has to be 100% thawed before you refreeze. That might be a quality issue over a safety issue, but I'm going to read your article and learn something new. All right. Hi, Erin. How are you? All right. Okay, Juliet, it's so cold here now. We brine on the patio. That's another thing. If you know that your temperatures are going to be below 40 degrees consistently and you're not putting it in the sun, we always used to wait to make our candy until it was really cold, and we would dip all of our Buckeyes and put them out on the porch and stuff. So yeah, it's just got to be cold enough. Oh, Terry, I like that. In Puerto Rico, we cook turkey with spices used for pork and call it pavochon. I know I didn't say that correctly, but that's interesting. I'll have to look that up. Okay, Jill, I cannot make gravy. I've been trying for 40 years. Jill, I feel ya. Because even in my previous videos, I've been a terrible gravy maker with all kinds of lumps and stuff. It's not hard to make gravy. I rush the process a little bit and don't do it in the right order. Basically, a gravy is nothing but a roux and then adding in the juices. So the issue comes in though is at temperature, or adding too much and not stirring and not adding slowly enough. So making gravy can be challenging. But look, if it comes out lumpy, put it through a little strainer. It's going to taste delicious. And then you get out all those lumps. And lumps aren't necessarily a bad thing unless they're flour lumps, because then you have somebody bite into it and you've got all this raw flour inside and that tastes affordable. And I've done it a million times. I mean, gravy's definitely, my mom made the best gravy and the easiest gravy. And basically, she took all of her drippings in a pan on the stove, like a saute pan, and would just sprinkle. And I'm not talking sifting or anything like that. She would just be taking her flour and putting it over the top and letting it absorb in, doing a little stir, repeat, do all that until she got to the thickness that she wanted. I get lumps almost every time doing it that way. But I did just make a pan gravy out of turkey skin that is coming out with the Turkey Wellington video. So you might try that too, Jill, if you have some sort of, like, maybe not worry so much about the juices from the turkey, like just practice making gravy with bacon fat and some flour, and then adding in whatever kind of stock you want, whether it's chicken or turkey, whatever. Try that, and kind of get used to the way that you add it in and the stirring and stuff. All right, let's run on through. Annie, I think my brine was 18 hours. I followed the Pioneer Woman's wet brine when I did it, and I just loved it. I think I cut everything in half because I had a much smaller turkey, but the time I did not cut in half. I don't think. I don't think so. All right. Okay, let's see. Um, okay, I don't know if that's a statement. I read 2 days, but sometimes they really err on the caution when they're going to put it out to the public and give recommendations. But I read from the USDA that if fully thawed turkey is fine for 2 days in the refrigerator after it's fully thawed. But like most things, there's usually a little give and take on that. So maybe you have another source that you quoted that from, and you can let us know, because that'd be great. Jolene, cold water bath to thaw. Yes, you can do that. Just make sure you change that water every 30 minutes and make sure it stays cold enough. Let's see. And Elaine says she takes hers out of the freezer on Sunday to cook, on Thursday, never any problems. And that would be along the lines of that 4 days for 16 to 20 pound turkey. So 24 hours per every 4 to 5 pounds is the suggested amount. All right, let's see. Hi, Scipio411. How are you? All right. Gabrielle just made some split pea soup in the foodie. I am sure people would love that recipe. Everybody loves split pea soup except for me. I can't do the texture, so I don't even have a recipe for it because I've tried. I can't do it. Okay. Yep. There we go. That sums it all up. To thaw in water 30 minutes per pound, changing water every 30 minutes. To fridge thaw 4 pounds per day. 4 to 5. I've read both per 24-hour period. Okay. Let's see. Cynthia, yeah, you could do that because that's kind of a cool idea. You're essentially keeping that water constantly moving around. So, yep. And for those of you on YouTube, Cynthia is saying, I have thawed a 25-pound turkey overnight in an open cooler in the tub with the water running slow after filling it to the top. And I'm going to back up and say cold water. It would be cold water. After filling it over the top and weighing the turkey down with weight, still in the original wrapping. Yeah. I've never heard that, but that would work definitely, because you're essentially doing the same thing. Okay. So Lisa, do you think candied yams would do good with the marshmallow top if baked in the Ninja Foodie? Yes, I think they would do great. I think that what I would do is, depending on, I mean, you can buy candied yams, or if you're making candied yams, I would make them and have them completely warm, and then put your marshmallows on top. Or if you wanted to, because like a lot of times, when we're having guests over, you don't want to just be dishing right out of the Ninja Foodie. The other option is to make it, put it in a dish that fits in the Ninja Foodie, and go low on the position so that you don't have too much heat on the marshmallow top, but just enough to get it nice and browned up. Okay. Yes. And water needs to be below 41 degrees. I would say 40. That would be my thing, but 40 degrees or lower. Absolutely. And it has to stay that way, hence the changing of the water. All right. Let's see. Oh, Drew Stone, sous turkey breast is amazing. You're going to absolutely love it if you haven't done it before. Okay, let's see. And Colleen says if you have a small turkey, you can defrost on the defrost setting in the microwave. I'm not a microwaver, so I don't defrost in the microwave. I don't even know how to work my microwave. And there's nothing wrong with the microwave, but I just don't know how to work mine. So I don't even understand the power settings. That's been one appliance that I can reheat if I want to reheat something on high or boil some water real quick for some tea or something. Yeah. Okay. But other than that, no microwaves for me. I just have never gotten into that for some reason. They're easy though, but I just never have. Okay. All right, Linda, how long do you do stacked egg bites in the 701? Okay, so there's a lot of variables in that. Are you going to steam them like I do in my recipe, or do you want to pressure cook them? And also, when you say stacked egg bites, the material usually for an egg bite tray is going to be that silicone, but there are actually different thicknesses and different ways that they're made that I have found from feedback on my recipe that cook differently. And then stacked versus unstacked also changes things a little bit. So there's a lot of variables in there. But if you're going to steam them stacked, I'm always a proponent of, if you don't know the time and you're doing something like steam, under steam rather than over steam, because you could always go back and steam longer, right? Same with pressure cooking. I will always under pressure cook versus over pressure cook, because I can always pressure cook longer. I can always cook longer, but you can't uncook something. So I would stick with the same time, maybe add 2 more minutes because you're stacking them. So it's going to impede some of the steaming, that goes around them. And then see how they are. And then you'll be able to judge for next time. That's what I would do. All right, let's see. All right. Justina, we are doing just fine. Thank you for asking. Jeff is actually at home with our other 2 dogs. I brought Gus here to convalesce after his ear surgery today. So he's here. He's sleeping right now. He's a good boy. Okay, let's see here. Sandra wants to know what I would put in my dry brine for turkey. I don't know, because I've never done it before, so I really have no idea. I would have to, because I'm sure like for dry brining, not just seasoning like I would for what's that thing called? Roast beef. I would have to look up, because I am sure that there is a percentage of salt that you need for the dry brine to really be effective. And since I haven't done it, I haven't done any research, so I really do not know. But I think, didn't I share? Somebody shared their dry brine. They got it from, now I don't remember the name of the website, but I did say it earlier. I don't remember though what it was that quickly. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna keep going. Thank you, Debbie. Debbie says, thank you for all the great information. I'm glad I found you. Well, thank you so much. That makes me feel good. Let's see. Okay, they're talking about copy and pasting. My stomach is growling. If you hear that, how embarrassing. I just heard it like growl really loud. Let's see. Thank you, Colleen, for doing that. Okay, that's somebody's helping somebody else. I love that. I absolutely love that. Um, Hi, M33 IRA. How are you? I'm so glad that you're enjoying the channel. I appreciate that. I'm so glad. Um, okay, Cynthia, this is a good one. How do you feel about injecting brine into a whole turkey and how do you do it? This is something, again, I've never done. And in the barbecue world, injecting marinades and stuff is a big thing. People do it all the time. I've never done it. And it's also funny because I'm a nurse. So like, you would think that I would want to fill that needle up and stick it in there and give that turkey a shot, but I've never done it. Um so I don't know. But again, that's something else I'm going to have to do. But I don't know. Um Stephanie says she would love to see me prepare your turkey. I just love your recipes. Well, you're going to see me prepare a turkey in the turkey Wellington, but it is a turkey breast. So it is a boneless turkey breast that I also take the skin off. But that's an amazing recipe. If you're cooking for 4 to 6 people and you don't want to do a whole turkey and you want to do just a turkey breast, this is a really fun recipe. Definitely, you can make it a couple days in advance and then just cook it in the puff pastry the day that you're going to serve it because you really want that to be kind of fresh. But it's really an amazing recipe. I wrap it in sausage and slow roast it. I stuff it. So I mean, it's really amazing. I'm gonna get that out as soon as I possibly can. I have to write the post. Jeff just finished editing the video, so I'm gonna try to get that out. Probably like um if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel and you want to do that, now's a good time to do that because I'm going to be putting out a recipe almost every day from now until Thanksgiving because I have so many done and I'm just going to write up the post and just start whipping them all out so they get out. I've got pumpkin whoopie pies, ginger pumpkin brownies, the turkey Wellington, and there's a couple more. I'm hoping to get my butternut squash recipe, which is just basically how to prepare it. Like if you wanted to make butternut squash puree. And then I have a butternut squash gnocchi recipe, which is amazing. Oh my gosh, amazing. And then I pan fry it with some sage. Oh my gosh. Talk about an easy and delicious side dish that's a little bit unusual. Oh my gosh. So good. I don't know how unusual it is, but it's not something you see every day on Thanksgiving, but or every day on Thanksgiving. Like that would happen. But every year on Thanksgiving, it's not traditional. So I don't know if I'll get that out before Thanksgiving or right after, but that's coming out. And that is just an amazing recipe. I just love it. Um, all right. All right. So I challenge you to do 100 squats. Well, actually, I could do them. Thank you. Yes, I'm overweight, but I'm not that out of shape. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's keep going down. Oh, Crystal, thank you so much. Crystal said she enjoys listening to my videos and that her and her little dog lay and watch my lives. That's so awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Um, okay, so Doug, can you help? My video was on pressure. It kind of blew up and now it doesn't work. All right. So a lot to unpack there. So if you want to send me an email, Louise at thesaltedpepper.com, I'm happy to help you. I don't think it really blew up, but maybe you had some kind of steam escape. But anyway, a lot going on there, but I'm happy to help. So just send me an email, okay? Um, Oh, Randy, I'm so happy that you made the apple fritters. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Like anytime there's a new recipe of mine that comes out, like I'm always like, oh gosh, I hope people like it. I hope it works. I hope, oh gosh, did I test it long enough or enough? People gonna like this? So thank you. That means the world to me. Um, Elaine. An apple pie does fit in there, but it might be a little late to order the pan, but there's a Fat Daddy-O pie pan that is pretty much a full, not deep dish. It's not deep dish, but it does fit in there. And I also have like I do my apple pie filling in the pressure cooker. So I have a like 10-minute apple pie recipe on my website where all the other components are done ahead of time. And then you basically just finish it off, bake it off in the Ninja Foodie. Now, again, if it's full size, big, or you're using the aluminum type of pie pan, they don't fit, unfortunately, in the Ninja Foodie, just barely. And I tried. So I ordered it's a 9-inch pie plate from Fat Daddio, and it doesn't have these edges on it, so it fits, and it's great. So, all right, Carol, this again is not something that's really up my alley, just because I haven't done a lot of gluten-free cooking or baking. However, I understand, and again, this is not from experience, just from what I've heard, that Bob's Red Mill has a gluten-free flour that is a one-to-one exchange for all-purpose flour. So I would probably start there, and then if you're finding issues, like if you're following recipes, and I'm sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Phew, I'm so sorry. If you're finding issues with it and there's like some kind of a flavor going on, email me, Louise at thesaltedpepper.com, because I don't do a lot of gluten-free, but I have gluten-free flour, and I really want to start doing some of that for people that I want to at least know how to advise how to change it up. So in some of my recipes that are going to be in 2023, I want to also test them gluten-free so that I can give advice. Even if the recipe itself isn't gluten-free, I can tell you how to do it gluten-free and not have funny taste, because that's the big issue. Textures and taste are real funny in baked goods. And like, you can't just use almond flour, or coconut flour, or things like that. Like, there's very specific things, because if you just use those, your ratios of liquid are all off, and it tastes terrible most of the time. All right. Let's see. Aaron, I have a recipe for apple crisp, but it's a little bit different, but it's in my Flavors of Fall cookbook. So if you have that, you can look that recipe up. But apple crisp is one. Now, this is a question that people can chime in or send me an email, Louise at the Salt and Pepper, and let me know your opinion on. If I was to do an apple crisp recipe, because I really do have a delicious one, I just haven't done it in the foodie. Would you want it to be something like so easy that it's just all done right in the inner pot of the foodie? Or would you prefer something that was more pot and pot, so that it was something you took out of the foodie and served, if you know what I mean? Because, taking something out of the Ninja Foodie is perfectly fine for me and perfectly fine for many people, but other people might want it to be in an actual casserole container, so that it can come out and go onto the table. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that. But I do have a version of an apple crisp, and I think it uses different kind of bottom, though, in my Flavors of Fall cookbook. Okay, let's see. Oh, wow, Cynthia, you picked pecans? That sounds so much fun. So Cynthia said she picked her pecans and made the pecan pie bars, and her whole family adored it. I think I put on 5 pounds. Oh my gosh, I know that feeling. I'm just really I want more information about picking the pecans. I've never done that. I think that would be so amazing. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Thanks, Colleen, for sharing that link. I appreciate it. Okay. Let's see. Patty, thank you for joining in. I appreciate it. Oh, okay, Pat. So going back to that whole, when I said I never heard that you couldn't refreeze partially frozen meat, and I said maybe it's a texture issue, and Pat is chiming in that the existing frozen crystals make tiny cuts in the meat. So as it freezes, I'm assuming, I'm envisioning this, as it freezes, it kind of compacts together, and then any ice crystals there make those cuts in the meat. So that makes sense. Thanks, Pat. That's so awesome. Like, this has been so much fun with everybody chiming in with their help and their all kinds of things. And Jolene has another one. If you have lumpy gravy, you can use a stick blender or an immersion blender to take the lumps out. Yes. I don't use my immersion blender nearly as much, but you absolutely can. Debbie says, I buy my gravy 50 years and lumpy. I know it's one of the things. Oh, Pat, that's another good one. Now, see, I don't use this, but there's another, you're calling it Easy Blend Flour, makes flawless gravy, but there's also another brand, and I cannot remember the name of it. I want to call it Miracle Flour, but I don't think that's what it is. But somebody must remember. Somebody probably knows what it's called. Wonder Flour, maybe? Is it Wonder Flour? And I've never used it. I don't stock it, but it's just like fine, like really fine flour. I believe that's the difference. Like, it's really well sifted. And so you can also take a little sifter, and sift over. But yeah, people say that works really great. Hi, Linda. How are you? Good to see you. Nancy, do not put cooked green peas on the table. Laugh out loud. I don't. Oh, there must be. Maybe there's something. There's some kind of a thread I don't know about. But anyway, I love peas. I love them. I love them lightly cooked, and I love them well, fresh is great, but frozen and lightly cooked. I don't like them in the can. But my husband never liked peas, but he just couldn't. Oh, I know. It's about the pea soup. Oh my gosh. I see the pea soup. That's right. I can't do the texture, but that's the texture. I love peas. Oh my gosh, I love peas. I just don't like the texture of the split pea soup. I don't know. So weird. So weird how we all have those things. Like, you can, like, some people will absolutely, they love a tomato, but not the sauce. Or some people can tolerate the sauce, but not the chunks of tomato. It's really interesting. Okay, Robin said the dry brine was from the Art of Manliness. Yes, that's it. That's it. So if you want that dry brine that somebody used, go to the Art of Manliness website and you can find it. Now, I'm not promoting it. I've never used it, but that's what somebody recommended in here. All right. I think there's some other like talks going on. That's wonderful. I'm going to try to get to the bottom here. That's a good question. So that's another thing I've never been a real fan of. I'm not even sure. Like, Jeff and I were just talking about this the other day, like how you pronounce it. And like, oh, I know it was on a Tasty Tuesday, and you guys told us, and that was like, oh yeah, that's exactly how you say it. He was saying like hero, but I don't think that's in. Of course, it's not like gyro. So I forget now what the right pronunciation is. But yeah, I've never been a real fan of that either. But I have looked into like a shawarma recipe, which I think is kind of similar. So I have to look into it. That's going to be a little challenging because of the way that they're made. And usually, especially like what I'm thinking, it's like a spit that kind of, cooks everything. It's like the stacked meat and then you slice it really thin. I'll have to do some research on it and see. I don't know why I don't like them, but I don't know. I've never been a fan. I'm not a huge fan of lamb, although I really love the lamb stew that I did. So maybe I'm changing, let's see. All right, let's see. Oh, Brittany, don't worry about that. That stuff doesn't bother me. He wants to challenge me to do 100 squats. That's all right. I don't know if I could do them or not. I'm sure he's not listening right now. I don't know if I could do 100 of them. I don't know, but like, hell, all the work I do. Are you kidding me? All right. Let's see. Da da da. Anything else? Anything else before we go? Apple crisp pot and pot, so we can take out mostly to save the rest without it all being mixed up. That's true. Good call, Colleen, on that one. All right. So Ben says, how can I prepare a meal without being stressed? And basically, the answer is prepare and plan, plan, and don't overdo. You know, like the holidays are meant to be enjoyed. And one of the things that I know from experience is when you are stressed out or you want to overdo, you end up missing out on the most important part, and that is the gathering itself. The food is great, the food is important, but it's not the end all be all. So keep it simple. If you know, depending on how many people you're having, how many dishes you're having, make sure you've got some cold dishes. Make sure you've got some things that you've made 100 times. You know exactly how it's going to go, and don't throw in the unknowns for your holiday. Just don't do it. That's going to keep your stress down a lot. The other thing that I like to do too is finger foods, and make a head stuff, you know, because I want to enjoy the family, the friends, the gathering. I don't want to be in the kitchen struggling with getting all the meals reheated and all that stuff. So plan, you know, like, don't be afraid to let your turkey sit for an hour before you carve it. Don't be afraid. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to have some cold dishes that you're gonna throw out, you know, on the table. There are also room temperature dishes that are absolutely delicious, so you could throw in one of those, you know. So just kind of stagger things, but mostly have fun. You know, that's the most important thing. Have fun. And don't worry when things screw up, because they are always going to screw up. I mean, if you've watched my videos, you know I almost always have a screw up. They're not planned, they're not scripted. I always go into it with a tested recipe that I think is going to be fine. But I have forgotten ingredients. I have overcooked things. I have undercooked things. Like, it just happens. It's life. So just roll with it. Roll with it. Wonder flour is what we were talking about, Colleen. Yes, thank you. I was calling it miracle flour. That's funny. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, Pat. Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. So she's read that the Easy Blend flour is processed with steam to make it dissolve easily. That's interesting. And I've also used double O flour, which is very fine. Yes. I just bought that for the first time. Because I'm not a specialty ingredient buyer ordinarily. And honestly, I'm a little skeptical sometimes that like a specialty ingredient is going to be better than what I've been using for, you know, 30 years or whatever. So like I keep cake flour and I keep all purpose flour, but I don't usually do a lot of other types of things. But my friend convinced me to get double O flour, and I'm sold on it when it comes to making the pasta. So, and I can see totally how it would work for other things as well. And I'm also doing a little more research as I educate myself more and more about different things, like trying to understand when do you use the different flours, you know, because there's real science behind it and they have different protein levels and things like that. So I'm just trying to like learn about all that. So thanks for that. That's a good tip. And I'm going to try to make gravy with it and see if it really does work. All right, let's see. Yeah, so this is what we're talking about, personal preferences and now, you know, allergies. So I'm allergic to fresh tomatoes, but can only eat them if they've been processed fully in a sauce. That reminds me of my husband, where I kind of doubted him a little bit, just a little bit, because he'll eat fruits that have been cooked and things like that. But like he wouldn't just, and I don't think it was an apple, I think it was something else, but he just wouldn't bite into this piece of fruit, whatever it was. Okay. I don't remember. And he was like, yeah, I get a tingly feeling like I'm allergic. And I'm like, what? But you eat them all the time, but it's something about when they're broken down. So yeah, we all have those kind of things. And it's true. But he overcame it actually because he has not had that issue in a while. So that's kind of weird too. And we can, our bodies change definitely. Um, okay, that's a good question. TM, do you think a gluten-free flour will work in the pecan bar crust? So I do a little shortbread crust. I think if it's a 1-to-1, I think so. But again, I have not done a lot of baking with it. So, or any baking with it. I haven't used it. Yeah, I have it though, because I keep meaning like, I'm going to do this. Um, yes, those are good tips too, to lessen stress, make a limited menu and stick with the plan. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Okay, Sylvia, I've seen it and I have not bought it. Like the other thing that I know people buy a lot of self-rising flour and I've never used that. And I've had to educate myself. I don't remember right now I think there's like, well, self-rising obviously. So it's got to have baking powder in it, right? Or does it have an acid and a baking soda in it? I'm not sure, but it's got some kind of a leavening thing. And I've never used it because I always just have the baking powder and stuff like that on hand. So I've never used it. Um, but you certainly can use it. All right, guys. I don't know why I go so long. I wish I could figure out a way to make this 1 hour and get to everybody, but I just can't. And I know people have to jump off, and that's perfectly fine. I would prefer these to be an hour so they're a little bit more digestible, but I don't know. I just love talking with you guys so much and hearing your advice and your tips and all that stuff. I just love it. So, um, John, good night. Well, good day. Good day. You have a good day. Tell Barry I said hi. And I'm going to jump off here too. Hopefully, even though I didn't have things planned out like I wanted to, hopefully you guys got some advice and asked your questions and had a little bit of fun along the way. And just remember, don't sweat the small stuff. I mean, I've made things and dropped them on the floor and you want to cry, but you just roll with it. And have cheese and crackers on hand, have that on hand and just roll with the rest of it. And I will talk to you all soon. Next Tuesday will be Tasty Tuesday. So we'll be cooking. It'll be me and Jeff. And the reason why we alternate, just in case you wonder, like, why isn't Jeff involved all the time? Because he works full time. So he does 7 12-hour days on and then 7 days off. So when we do Tasty Tuesday together, that's his off week. But he isn't actually working today because he's on vacation because we just came back from Maryland, but he normally would be working. And whether he's working days or nights, he can't be involved in this time frame. So that's why we change it up. But if you guys don't like enjoy the Q&As, you want something different, let me know. I'm open to anything. It's really hard though for me to cook and interact with you guys without Jeff. So it would be kind of hard, but I would give it a try if that's what you prefer. Because I see a lot of people say, what are you cooking? What are you cooking? And I feel like, oh, I'm not cooking tonight. We're just chatting tonight. So anyway, I love you all so much. Thank you for everything. And if I don't see you next Tuesday and you're celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. And remember, no stress, just fun, and enjoy your family and your friends. Bye-bye.